Yeah, so I think without further ado, we can begin. Welcome to our class this afternoon, everybody. So today we have an interesting guest. It's a developer. So we are sort of taking a different direction from what we're used to. Today we'll be talking about blockchain development. I'm sure most of us are used to, interacting with a lot of these crypto products, decentralized applications, but few of us understand what it takes to build these applications, or the entire process, and also even the people behind it. Peter, how are you?
Hi, I'm very fine. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing fine. I think I'll leave the floor. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for showing up, giving us your time. I hope we have a great session. We learn together. I would also love to learn from you guys, and we'll have that Q&A session. We'll get to interact and share ideas and maybe learn from the questions you ask. Just share my screen. So for today, I'd like to share my journey, which is not long because it started last year, 2020, when lockdown began and when life changed for everybody. I think for almost everybody, life changed, and that's when I delved into blockchain development. That was last year in March, when most jobs we lost our jobs, so we had to think of alternative ways to keep ourselves busy, keep ourselves sane. So my journey begins then. So I'll just share a little bit about myself. I'm an electrical engineer by profession. I studied that in my university. Aside from the electrical engineering education, I delved, as I said, in March 2020 last year, I delved into blockchain, and there was this opportunity from an organization in Nigeria. Then it was called 500 devs for Nigeria. So their goal was to train 500 developers in Nigeria, but they opened it up to whole of Africa. So I applied, got in, and that's when I met a few people there that guided me through what's blockchain, what's Web3, what's all these things about, starting from cryptocurrency to Bitcoin to everything that we have come to know as blockchain and blockchain related products. So from then, I got an opportunity to attend the blockchain developer bootcamp at Consensus last year, which ended end of last year. And that's my whole basically experience. 1 year is just 1 year into blockchain, and it has been much rewarding. I currently work for Nokia in Kenya, and I'm based in Eldoret. So if anybody is in Eldoret, you can holler, can have coffee. Yeah, so last year I worked on a few projects. I joined the Earth Global Hackathon, which was in September, which was not in September, I think in late last year. And I joined a group of other developers, and we started a project called the Carbon Credit Project, which delves into carbon credits and emission control. So basically, we wanted to take another approach to carbon credits. And for those who don't understand what carbon credits are basically, we have emissions. We have people that produce a lot of emissions. So because based on the Paris Agreement of where nations agreed that they are going to cap emissions. So, but people, when you cap emissions from a certain country or certain, especially the developed countries, those industrialized countries, because of production and supply and demand, you might not, it is unavoidable to make these emissions. So everything above the capped or the maximum amount of emissions, as a country like Kenya, you're allowed to produce a certain amount of emissions. If you produce more than that, that amount has to be offset by another project that is doing a renewable energy project. So a carbon credit now becomes this company that is producing more than the emissions that is, they are told that this is the maximum emission. If you produce more than that maximum, you pay a fine or you pay a carbon credit. And this is credited to someone that is someone else doing another project that enhances or preserves the environment. So a renewable project. And back in 2015, I think some Kenyan companies got these carbon, they were paid money because they presented a proposal and these carbon credits were transferred to them, and they were able to build their product based on a renewable energy project. So we did that. So we wanted to bring these carbon credits to the blockchain and show how this could make things easier in terms of offsetting energy, because every day we are emitting a lot of emissions, a lot of CO2. So we need to preserve our planet, and this is one of the projects we came up with. And then I was new. I was the back end. I did the back end for it, and you can check it out. That's the link. Maybe I'll post that on chat, and you can check it out on chat. Then on the consensus project from the school project, I did an artist management project, and this project was basically how artists could manage themselves. They could hire equipment, they could sell their music or their art through NFTs. Yeah, and to my baby right now, the Land Registry project is what we are currently working on with a group of developers in Nigeria. It is I did the backend, and I have a guy called Jeremiah doing the front end, and then a very dedicated team in Nigeria doing the front end. And we are going to, I'll have a demo for that, and we might the MVP will be concluded by the end of April or the start of May, so that we can start now building have a project that solves the land or property challenge we have in Africa or even in the globe. But I'll delve into that as we go on. So for those here that might not know what's blockchain, because I think maybe there's someone who is interested in blockchain but doesn't know what blockchain is. Basically, blockchain is just a digital record of transactions. It's a ledger. So, and it comes from the structure in which records are stored in blocks. And these blocks are linked together. So if they are linked together, they make up a chain, and hence the word blockchains. And they are used to, they basically record transactions. So if a transaction is basically an addition to the block, whether it is a financial transaction, whether it is you're trying to send money from one account to the other, or you're trying to deploy a contract, then that's what blockchain is. And everybody, I think, at this point knows what Bitcoin is, and is the largest use of it's the most popular, not the large, but the most popular use of blockchain. And I think right now one Bitcoin is 6.5 million Kenya shillings. So the value of it has really gone up. At some point in the beginning, when it was on Reddit, it was, I think, $0.8, if I'm not wrong. It was very cheap to buy, but now it has grown. And since last year, we have had a boom on the crypto end. And another major aspect of blockchain is the decentralized finance, which is just basically we have a centralized financial system, which we use in our day-to-day, whether it's M-Pesa, whether it's Visa, MasterCard. But now decentralized finance, you remove the aspect of centralization. And I can explain this best using an example where maybe I, Peter, want to send a transaction, want to send some money to David. And David, we both have accounts on M-Pesa. So we use Safaricom, and I want to send maybe 50 shillings from me to David. We depend on M-Pesa and Safaricom and their platform, which they provide to facilitate this transaction. So David receives my 50 shillings after I send, but we all depend. If Safaricom's network is down, this transaction may not happen. So we depend on a centralized system, which is operated by M-Pesa. So what that now differs with decentralized finance is you can send a transaction from my account to David's account using maybe a crypto currency, but we don't depend on any centralized. We dealing directly. Me and David are dealing directly with each other, and it's verified by a group of people, by a group of computers all over the world on the internet. So basically, we remove the aspect of the central system that facilitates these transactions. Another thing I wanted to talk about was NFTs, because all these now are included in my project. And most projects now, there is a craze in NFT craze. And recently I saw there was an SNL explanation of NFTs, and they did a video, a skit using a song by Eminem to explain what NFTs are. So NFTs basically are representation of digital items. So there may be representation of art or digital files. So it's non-fungible, which means it cannot be broken down. Like money is fungible. Money, there is denominations, like you have 1,000, 500, but non-fungible token cannot be broken down into smaller units, and it's not interchangeable. So we have now, you can represent any digital file, whether it's audio, video, tweets, images. I think the CEO of Twitter sold an NFT of his first tweet. I think there is also now baseball players in the US want to get into the NFT because they want to sell their baseball caps as NFTs. Musicians are also getting into the NFT. So Cristiano Ronaldo also did the same. So I think NFTs are growing, and they're growing and they're getting mainstream day by day. So NFTs are a large part of the future of blockchain as of now, because everybody has something creative they do and they want to make money out of it, and you can make money easily out of NFTs. So that's another aspect of blockchain that's important. And as much as there are many uses of blockchain, and it's not only these things that I've mentioned, but there are varied use cases of blockchain. Recently, over the last 1 year or two, I think financial services have started, banks and most financial organizations have started now seeing the use cases of NFTs and its value and how much money you can make out of crypto. And they're delving, and projects are starting to being created by these organizations. And these will create a whole field of professionals, and from developers to marketers to managers to money managers to financial institutions to social programs that run on blockchain. Uh, and in Africa, it's I think it's the most opportune time to make these projects and develop them and create value where we don't depend on. In Africa, there is one problem we have of depending on the government a little bit too much, and depending on central authorities to either give you jobs, to provide you money, to give you food. So I think blockchain has a real opportunity in Africa to become, to create real value, to propel people into blockchain careers, to make people money. And the future is, I think, is very bright. We might not have many blockchain developers existing right now, but I think there are people working really, really hard to ensure that happens. And some of the projects, okay, as I mentioned earlier, we have Bitcoin, but the underlying technology of Bitcoin was, people figured, Ethereum came into it, figuring there are other projects that can be developed with the underlying technology of blockchain. And Ethereum enables this using smart contracts. And Ethereum has enabled a lot of people to get into the space. These projects, other projects that were not maybe Bitcoin-like, because there might be a lot of currencies, alternative coins to Bitcoin, but other projects that maybe social projects that add real value, social development projects. And some of the projects were Spotify, maybe will use blockchain to manage copyrights. IBM was building a tracking tool for shipping companies and retail chains. Kodak to create storage for stock photos, because there is a project on blockchain called so planetary file storage system. So that basically you store files on the blockchain, and it's a huge, and it's one of the challenges that we're facing blockchain of storage, and they managed to solve it. And the future is, what I say, the future is bright. And one of the recent forecasts on through 2022, only 10% of enterprises will achieve any radical transformation by using blockchain. By 2022, at least one innovative business built on blockchain technology will be worth $10 billion. By 2026, the business value added by blockchain will grow just over $360 billion. And by 2030, it will be $3.1 trillion. So I think people are realizing the value of blockchain, and they're getting into it. And new projects are being developed every day. There's usually the most famous ones, but I think if you keep your attention on to the projects that come in, I think it's interesting where this is going, and how much and how acceptable this thing will go. Even though there are challenges like Nigeria government, the central bank for Nigeria giving a ban on cryptocurrency and transactions. But I think instead of banning, they'll have, because this is revolutionizing everything, how we work, how we do things, they'll have to change their way of thinking and delve into crypto and blockchain. So in 2020, I was in that bootcamp for Web3, that Nigerian bootcamp, we were doing our end of program projects. And one of the major problems I think we have in my country, Kenya, is on land and property. And one of the issues I think I identified were my parents worked, they retired now, but they worked for the government of Kenya, and they worked for the Ministry of Lands. And in our Kenyan system, records are not digitized. So basically how they work is you come into, if you have an issue, or if you want to do a transaction on any property or land, or you want to sell land, you go to a government office. This government office gives checks for your title. They check your title, they check their records, but everything is manual. So by the time you're finishing a transaction, you've used more money more than you intended to use. Then there is a lot of bureaucracy in anything manual. In any manual thing, there is a lot of tape, red tape. There is a lot of brokers, because it's hectic. If I'm in Eldoret and somebody is 100 kilometers away, and the main office is in Eldoret, they have to make their way from that place where they live, and maybe go to uh, the central office, or the central land office, to make transactions, to be able to get authorization from a government official, or even do property transactions. So this is a problem that I think most of us face. A lot of people have delved into the property business, where maybe they sell air, because there's no way of verifying what someone is selling to you, and there's no way of maybe the process of maybe verifying is tedious and expensive. So that's when I decided to do a project on property and land. And one of the things is to digitize the you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We already have titles. We already have titles, property titles or land titles, that show that this is the owner of the land title. It is located this and this place, and there are valuers already existing in our current system. So we need to maybe digitize this through maybe collaboration between the government and the private sector, and maybe us or individuals themselves. They say this is a project that I think has value, where I can do a transaction from anywhere in the world, and I know this, I can buy property from all the way. Maybe in Canada you can buy Kenyan property, and know this is real property I've bought, and it's real value, without much expense, without much hassle. So and the features of this project would be registering the land itself, the property or land itself, then registering the holder of that property, and have a group of people called validators. These validators, their work will be to ensure that this property is real, it's recognized by the Kenyan government, or whatever government we might collaborate with, or as it is recognized by law that this property is owned by you, and you can make transaction of this property. There is no loan that is maybe is collateralized with this property, and if there is, we make an indication that this property's status is currently this, and and these transactions can happen on this, and this transaction can't happen on this type of property. So is just making a digital copy of that. So, and the features and the technologies we had to use, we used MetaMask. Aside from MetaMask, we used Remix to create the smart contracts. We use MetaMask as our wallet, as our Web3 as the Web3 connection. We also used IPFS, where IPFS we upload the land titles, the physical land titles. You create an image, and you upload your land title to the IPFS, and that IPFS develops a hash. Then when that image or title is validated by the validators, an NFT is created. So that NFT, the non-fungible token, represent real value, real world now property, where you can do transaction based on that NFT. So, and it is the ERC 721 standard. And where an NFT is minted based on a validated title deed. So now this title deed can be used, you can use to buy land, sell land, and lease land. So you can lease land for a particular number of months. The owner of that, the holder and owner of the title of the NFT now decides the value of, decides how much she wants to lease that land. But we have the same validators, we will value the property based on factors that exist factors that exist by law. So value property are dependent on maybe structures on that property, on that land, or on the existing property, the value of building of that property, infrastructure, natural resources. So the value depends on all these factors. So by the validators, if you want a value, if you're a buyer and you want a value for this property, you can make a request to the validators to provide a value, and they will provide a value within 7 days. So basically, that's the project. You can transfer from now one person to the other when you're buying land or selling land. And we use enums for state to mark the state of a property, whether it's approved for transaction, whether it's been validated, whether it's been sold or leased. And you cannot lease a property twice. So the security features, we are also working on the security features to ensure bad actors don't bad actors don't take advantage of the system. So basically, this is what we are working on, and I might show you a demo of the project and give of the project. It's not yet done. There are a few things we are working on, and a few things we are still yet to implement. The back end is done, but the front, we are just working on the front end, and to make it an easy experience for any user, whether you're a property owner, whether you're looking to buy a property, whether we are looking to experience the platform and maybe test it out for yourself. We are currently on the Rinkebi test network. So until we do an audit of the code, we still have a long way to go, but we're working day in and day out. So that's basically our project. And maybe I'd like to show it to you for a minute. Give me a second. I see someone asking, Brian, can one also contribute to the project? I think you can. You are open to ideas and and ideas of how we can collaborate with people, because we need the government, we need a lot of stakeholders to make it a success. But the concept, I think, is simple. Just making it secure is another aspect to it. Let me just share my screen again. Okay, so this is the demo. This is just a small demo where we have gotten to with the Land Registry project, and just a minute, and to speak on the process it takes, or the process it takes to come up with a project and see the viability of that project and start working on and giving your time to that project. I think currently there are sites where you can get people to work on your project on crypto projects. But now this was a program project and Web3 Bridge, and what I thank God for that, for those guys, we all went in together, but all through that 1 year people have learned different skills, and they teach you the three aspects of building a blockchain project, and one of them is backend, the second is front end, and the third is security. The first, backend, is what I think many people have learned, and as much as there are not many backend engineers, I think that's the gap that has been worked on for quite some time. We used and mostly Solidity is the most common language that people are teaching or learning on, and that's what I built this Solidity. It's a Solidity project. So, but the front end part of it, not many people, I think right now, it has a long way to go in terms of front end and creating a connection between the front end and the back end, and that's Web3. Web3 basically means you're moving from the web to internet that we're always used to, which includes Instagram, LinkedIn, or those types of applications. And Web3, I think we have a long way to go in terms of front end. Another aspect that is essential to a blockchain project is the security, because there has been a lot of what can I say, loopholes that maybe hackers have used to gain money from Web3 projects. And was the MakerDAO project, where millions of dollars were stolen from that project. And as much as this Web3 is decentralized, there are a few features that make it vulnerable to bad actors or hackers to access money through a certain platform or whatever it is. So as we trade, as we go through all these craze of crypto, I think security is one most important feature of any project, and it should be, and smart contracts should be audited. And that's one of the things that we're working on this Land Registry project. And I would like to say that so far what we have is, we've been able to add maybe a registration portal for people who are landowners, where you can input your name, your email, your tax PIN, because you also have a feature that Uh, we also have a feature that enables you to pay tax, the correct tax, and for you to get value from that tax from the government. And why I included tax and into that is because the government, we also need to involve the government in a project like this, because uh, one of the challenges of a project of this magnitude or maybe of this type is the legal implications you have with dealing with property and land and all these transactions and movement of money and succession and the transactions that come and the disputes that come in property transactions. And one of the features I think I thought was important was paying the correct amount of tax and getting value for that tax. And getting value for that tax is making the process as transparent as possible and as cheap as possible for any person anywhere with even little means that can be able to check and do a transaction on property without inconveniences. And that's why we include that's why I included the tax pin, also email and an identity number and a contact. And another thing that I saw a project in Senegal, I think, where they're using digital identity. And this is, I think, another interesting project where digital identities can be, there's a lot of people that don't have identity numbers or identity cards, and they cannot do any transaction, whether in banks or in anywhere. So a digital identity enables you to do transactions, be involved in projects, get loans, where you're not required to have a national ID, but a verifiable digital identity. And I think it's one of the projects they are doing in Senegal in conjunction with the government. And I think it's been successful because a lot of people have be able to access financial services through a digital identity. And that's one of the things we're going to look at as we design this land registry project. So we have that. We have also a landowner profile where you, after you register as a landowner, your profile can be listed, and we'll have your details displayed, as well as a wallet address. So this wallet address will be your unique identifier. So I'll just go back. You can register now property. So the title of the property will be, okay, currently in our Kenyan government, title deeds come with an LR number, and that number represents your title and the physical location of the property and a code for that property. So the location, the name, the exact, the LR number, your national ID number, and you upload the proof of ownership. And the proof of ownership of a project is the title deed. And this is subject to approval by a group of people called validators. And these validators are going to be the stakeholders in this ecosystem. So we, as you can see, this is a work in progress, but I just wanted to show you the progress that you've made. And if you can visit my GitHub, you can see the code for the project, and maybe make suggestions. And you can email me for any suggestions that you may have. maybe I'll just go back to my slide for a minute. Okay. And I was just saying about building a project. I think there is not enough support in terms of how you go about it. I think there's a lot of people working on teaching people, and there's too much material on it that you get confused on how you can begin to build a project or what skills you might need to build a project. Initially, I didn't have any skill on Solidity. I didn't have any skill on any IPFS or any. The only skill I had was a little web development, and that was HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And I think for most people, that's what they require you to have. Even for consensus, that's what they require you to have as a basic skill for you to begin learn to learn to build any project, and for you to delve into blockchain, and you build on that, because basically this is it's not new. Solidity may be a new language, but it's not exactly new. It's based on JavaScript, it's based on React and all these programming languages that have been there, and now you build on that, and you learn the rules and the security features you might have, the way to go about it, what the do's and don'ts of building a project. And conception of idea, and basically building a project has three aspects, and that's the back end, the front end, and the security aspect. And the security aspect is subject to audits and involving as many people as possible. And that's why in any Solidity project or any blockchain project, you need experts to audit your code, because you're dealing with people's money, and dealing with people's money, uh, you have to secure that value and secure and make and create a guarantee that this platform is secure. And security is one of the most important things that and Ethereum Foundation are working on, and everybody in this ecosystem works on day in, day out. I think I talked about the NFT craze that is going on right now, and NFTs are going to be of real value. And like you see, you can represent a digital any item. So as well as land, as well as property, or a representation of. That's why they give you a document that shows that you're the owner of a particular property, and you can represent that digitally using NFTs. And I think that will work well within the Land Registry project and the future of any project that you might have, or to represent value and create your own value. There are few, if you have not been in this space for very long, there are a few people working on this in Africa. And the Web3 Bridge, as I mentioned, was one of them, which I think has, for me, been the greatest friend. There's also Binance, which who started on February. They had a program for Africa, and I joined, although I've not been able to be very active on it with work and everything else. But I think it's really good that they're teaching Africans, they're encouraging African developers to join the ecosystem, to the space, and to develop and create projects on this. They have an IDE, that is an integrated development environment called Chain IDE. So if you've got time, take a look. They are supporting the African ecosystem and the development in Africa. So the Web3 Bridge, maybe I'll share a link on chat so you can visit their website and see what they are doing. So currently the Land Registry project is on an incubator program they are having. And as I said, the MVP will be ready by maybe the end of April. So you can contact me on email. You can also get my GitHub and LinkedIn. And I hope they'll be, I'll share some on chat and maybe you can check them out. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, I think you can present any suggestions, contact me anytime, and maybe we'll get to chat and see how we can improve our experience. Thank you.
All right, Peter, that was awesome. Thank you so much for taking us through the how to build a project, a blockchain project. I think a lot of us benefited greatly, and I love the fact that you're already building an actual project. I think since we talked last year, I think you're still building and developing. I see now you are almost to completion. So you mentioned you're just building the front end right now. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, building the front end. Yeah.
Okay, and you said the project will be completed by this April, at the end of April?
At the end of April, we'll have an MVP, a minimum viable project.
Okay. I actually see one question related to the project. Someone is asking if they can contribute to the project. Is that possible?
Yes, definitely possible. I think I'll encourage it. We in this space, we need a lot of people looking in their own perspective and sharing that perspective.
Okay, great. How can they do that?
So you can contact me by email. Then if we have a group on Slack, and maybe I can add you to that group, and we see how we can go about integrating your recommendations to the project.
All right, great. Yeah, so for anyone who wants to reach out to Peter, there's an email there. We've shared his email, so please feel free to reach out and hopefully contribute. There's someone here from Namibia, Peter, who's asking, if the project is actually applicable beyond Kenya, say for example in Namibia.
Yes, definitely. Depending on the legal framework that we may have, we may just maybe tweak it a little bit. But initially, we wanted to start with a case study of Kenya, but I think it's applicable anywhere. I think anywhere we have title deeds representing property, the owners of that property, and that's how they validate that this property is owned by these people. So I think it can be done anywhere. And the purpose of this project was so that you can do a transaction on property, maybe based in Kenya, but it can be done by anywhere in the world. So yes, I think it can be integrated to any country, depending on their legal framework, and you just have to study that framework and make integrations into that. Yeah.
Okay. And along those lines, somebody's asking, have you done any propositions to the Kenyan Land Registry or possibly the government in regards, or even spoken to some stakeholders?
Maybe we've not done as much because you have to have an MVP first. Okay, the view of the group or the team was we develop the MVP, then we go to these people and say, this is what we have, this is how it works, this is how it is applicable. One challenge there is in crypto is convincing people and maybe differentiating between Bitcoin and any other project. I think people relate much with Bitcoin and they don't realize that there's an underlying technology that can be applicable in other things. So we have to show them that this is what we have, this is how we have done it, and this is how we have secured it, so that we can bring you something concrete. Yeah.
All right. And
but it's definitely in the plans. Yeah.
Okay. And now as a community, Peter, how can we help as a community with these ongoing projects, for example?
One, as I said, that you can reach out and share your your ideas and maybe your additions to the project that we may have. Another thing will come in testing. When we reach the part of testing, we'll need people to contribute to the project and maybe tell us, get the kinks out. We need people to, we'll give them a virtual, maybe a test case. And we'll need people to register, create titles, and use the platform, buy, sell, as we are testing. So definitely need people for that. We also, I think we don't really have, or we have not been able to, maybe a security expert is definitely one of the people or developers that we need to secure the project and secure the value that is going to be transacted on the project. Yeah.
All right. I can see somebody from Namibia is really excited about the project. They're saying they really need this project, and they're really looking forward to reaching out to you. So yeah, Christine, Peter's email is right there. You can reach out. We also have a question from Christine, and she's asking, are you creating the ERC? Are you creating ERC20 or ERC721 token?
Oh, the NFT is based on ERC721 token.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we don't have any other question. So somebody's asking. Brian is saying, he's been learning about blockchain on Udemy. They're asking, which other resources would you recommend for someone who wants to learn about blockchain development?
Okay. One place I think there's been a lot of articles on crypto is Medium. Yes, Udemy is one other platform. Consensus is also doing great work on teaching people on crypto. Yeah, those yeah, there it blocks. I think it's called it blocks, something like that. They teach people videos on YouTube on starting a project or getting into Solidity and those technologies that come with blockchain. Yeah, there are quite a few.
All right. Julius is asking, apart from the government getting involved, do you see this solution being used by, say, private sectors or any, for example, land investment agencies? Do you see them being able to use your solution?
Definitely. If with governments, it takes a lot of time to maybe integrate your project into your system and maybe change the way the system is or the way people think, or even convincing them to take your idea. Yes, it can be used by a private owner looking to sell or transact property. Yeah, definitely. It doesn't have to be a government. It can be any entity that is interested in implementing the project. Yes.
All right, great. So because of time, I think we can end there. And maybe, before we close, Peter, you've obviously inspired a lot of people. I can see a lot of developers who would like to maybe delve into development. Maybe you can close by telling us, where do you see this going, and do you what's the potential for anyone who's just getting started right now, or someone who's just experimenting and wants to see if they can build on blockchain, or what lies ahead for blockchain?
I think I would encourage everybody, anyone with interest, with even the slightest amount of interest that you might have, to delve into blockchain, because I think it's, as much as I don't do it full time and I have another job, a day job that I do, I think it's a career that can be developed. And I think these the projects that I'm currently doing, I see myself 10 years doing this, and maybe the start of next year actually having dedicated full time that I'm a blockchain developer, doing work in projects that are blockchain related. And even if you're not a developer, even if there is so much more ways to contribute to this, the space need marketers, they need writers, they need auditors, they need software, they need other software developers, there is a whole career based on this. And currently people are benefiting from it, especially celebrities right now. In the NFT, like I said, your art, you can also digitize your art and make a lot of money from it. And I think for developers majorly, I think there's a lot of work being done by people seeing potential, international organizations that see potential in Africa, basically, to alleviate a lot of poverty, a lot of lack of opportunities in terms of job. I think this is one great area where you can delve into it. It, as anything in this world, to learn, it takes dedication. You have to be dedicated and maybe give your time to it. As much, it's not that easy. As much as it's basically other languages that have been there, it's not easy. There is a lot to learn. There's a lot I'm still learning. Actually, it's evolving every day, because products are being created every day. The system is not, it's not reached its full potential. People are creating day and night. So I think as Africans, as people in this space, we have the opportunity to be, in the next 2 years, 5, or it will be definitely mainstream. So I think it's very important for people to start learning as early as now, and building. As much as you're learning, you build projects and you contribute to the system however you can, with either your ideas, with either your insight, where you are, where you see things can be done this way and not the old way. I think it's important for you to contribute and say, I've seen this can be done this way, and maybe collaborate. I think there are great people in this ecosystem. There are great people that can, like you're doing a great job in educating people. So it's not only developers, you're contributing to the system by having this session, having other sessions every week. I think it's important that to grow, we have to delve into it and start wherever you think you can contribute. Yeah.
All right, great. That was a beautiful conclusion, Peter. And I think we've all definitely benefited, and we've been encouraged. And so I think we can close, we can end it here. Again, reach out to Peter if you need him to assist you with anything, or if you just want to check out what he's been doing. He's been doing amazing work. I've known him for close to 1 year now, and he's been consistent throughout. So reach out to him, and I think we can end it there. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Peter, as well.
Thank you.